Ubisoft and Massive are getting desperate in the lead up to the release of Star Wars Outlaws. The game's creative director recently name dropped Ghost of Tsushima as his biggest reference in creating Star Wars Outlaws. Really can't make this stuff up here. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. I wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And this is what Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Gerighty had to say to Games Radar. He was reacting to reporter Dustin Bailey's comments that he thought the game reminded him of Red Dead Redemption. So that's Dustin Bailey bringing that up. And Gerighty said this: "It's super interesting because my biggest reference was Ghost of Tsushima, which is more on the Kurosawa side of inspiration than the Western, the John Ford side of the inspiration for George Lucas." He continued saying, "Red Dead Redemption is phenomenal because it treats the world as a world, not as a checklist of activities that are repeated often. But I think that Ghost of Tsushima, what I loved about it was this purity of having a player fantasy and really leaning into it. This is the story, the world, the character, everything fits together with the gameplay guiding everything. That's the fantasy of you are a samurai ninja in Japan. That was one of the guiding lights for this, obviously referring to Star Wars Outlaws." And as Games Radar, Bailey notes, Gerighty and developer Massive want to make players believe they are outlaws in Star Wars. Instead of obviously Ghost of Tsushima being the samurai ninja in Japan, you are now outlaws in Star Wars. However, early reactions to the game do not appear to be convincing players this is the case. IGN released this video here, which is a screenshot of it, 10 minutes of gameplay footage, and gamers absolutely torched it. As you can see, I took the screenshot just earlier today. 94,000 dislikes to just 12,000 likes. I think there's just shy of 800,000 views on that video. So absolutely abysmal ratio there. Gamers not liking what they are seeing. And here's just a little bit of what they had to say. This one user says, "IGN single-handedly saving us all money." Another person wrote, "How to save 80 euros in 10 minutes. Another person pointed to the opening scene in the gameplay footage, saying that thermal detonation is the worst thing I've ever seen in a modern video game, LMAO. And then you also had this person here saying, "Guys, the AI is completely lifelike. It was just programmed by the director of the Secret Service." Obviously making a joke, or maybe not a joke, but a reference to the incompetence of the Secret Service. And if you watch the actual trailer, it's absolutely terrible. Covered it in another video. Not going to do that here. But the robots and the villains that you're engaging in literally do not react as you blow up giant explosive. You shoot down their friends that are like literally robots. So you know that there's going to be like loud clanking noises. The blasters are hitting robot parts. And they just continue along their path, not even paying attention. Then there's also the water. Looks absolutely terrible as well when you're stepping into the water and the wake that it creates. And so it just doesn't look good. It looks terrible. Does not look like it's going to be immersive at all. All this stuff takes you out of the immersion. Furthermore, Gerighty previously told Game Informer that the game's main protagonist is a much more modern protagonist than we usually see in games. So that is a massive, massive red flag, and definitely not something you would expect someone who's like, "Oh, we're going to actually immerse you in this game." No, this is what takes you out of immersion, modern protagonists. He explained, "She's somebody who is very much a street thief who gets thrown into things that are beyond her control and that she kind of has to think her way out of. And that makes it a little bit more relatable than somebody who has all the confidence and sarcasm and just comes off as somebody who is not believable." Like, this just is a bunch of word salad. It does not make any sense whatsoever. I'm not sure how a street thief who's just kind of been thrown into the fire is any more relatable than someone who already has confidence and sarcasm. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think both of those things can be relatable. It's just a bunch of word salad. Nevertheless, he went on saying, "So having her be relatable in that way was something extremely important for us." Again, if How is it relatable? Who knows? Maybe you're trying to make it so people are morally gray. That's why she's a thief and she's stealing things. Utterly ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense at all. The reason why Han Solo works, the reason why Lando Calrissian works, is because they are repentant of the actions that they've taken. Yes, Han Solo, when we meet him, is still a smuggler working for Jabba the Hutt, but he ends up joining the rebellion, aiding Luke Skywalker and the rebellion in the attack on the Death Star. He ends up hitting Darth Vader's TIE fighter, sending him off into space, giving Luke the time to do his attack run on the Death Star and eventually destroy it. He is a repentant smuggler. He's not actually engaging in smuggling anymore. He's providing an actual good service, and he says no to it anymore. And he does. He actually pays for his crimes too in the series. He gets frozen in carbonite. He's imprisoned, literally frozen, and he actually has to pay for the crimes that he committed. Obviously, he is free, and he continues to fight for the rebellion and fight against the Empire. Same thing with Lando Calrissian. He has left his smuggling ways. He's being strong-armed by the Empire, but he also works to undermine them. And he's working to help Princess Leia, help Luke Skywalker, etc., escape Cloud City. And then obviously he joins the rebellion in Return of the Jedi, and he's the one who leads the attack on the second Death Star. So they're actually reformed smugglers, right? They're reformed thieves. This does not look to be the case with Kay Vess. It looks like they actually want you to be this person who is engaging in these immoral activities as a street thief and all this stuff. It's not like she's choosing the side of what is right and just and recognizing what she did was wrong and actually paying the consequences of those actions, because Han Solo does indeed pay for that. He's literally frozen in carbonite. He's repeatedly tortured by Darth Vader and the Empire, and then he's carted off by Boba Fett back to Tatooine. So I don't think she's really relatable whatsoever. There's a reason why Han Solo, Lando Calrissian are relatable, because they actually make the right decision. They might be unscrupulous when we first meet them. They might be a little dodgy, but at the end of the day, they make the right decisions. They realize what they've done is wrong, and they choose what is right. Gerighty also told this to Edge Magazine via Games Radar that his team intentionally tried to make the character more relatable by having her be a rookie. He explained that the team wanted her to be a little bit more relatable, so they made her more of a rookie, a petty thief who ends up in a situation that's much bigger than they ever expected. Again, this whole idea of her being a rookie, it's ridiculous too, because people love Han Solo, they love Lando Calrissian, and they're not rookies. They are veterans of what they're doing. Han Solo is a veteran smuggler. Lando Calrissian is clearly a veteran smuggler, and now he's running a mining facility on Bespin. So I don't understand how making her be a rookie makes her more relatable. It makes it easier to progress in a game, in an RPG where you usually start off as like level 1 and you got to skill up, get better, get more skills as you progress through the game. That makes more sense. But it doesn't make you more relatable. I think you actually are more relatable as a veteran. I don't think that you make a soccer reference here. Lionel Messi is as relatable when he's a rookie than what he is now. I think he's more relatable now because he's gone through everything. He's more well-known as well. He's more relatable. Game director Matthias Carlson also claimed Vess is relatable because she's not a Jedi. I think it's very relatable as a human being on planet Earth that this character doesn't have any magical powers or properties beyond her daring, her skills, her tools, and her buddy Nix. Again, this is utterly ridiculous. It is a fantasy setting. People love playing Jedi. They cosplay Jedi all the time. You pretend to be a Jedi when you were a kid, when you were fighting swords with your parents. I'm doing that with my kids now. You can relate to Jedi. I mean, how many people were like, these are not the droids you're looking for? The Jedi mind trick. Come on. It's just none of this makes any sense whatsoever. It's just a bunch of word salad, word garbage that they're trying to sell. And it doesn't make any sense. Nevertheless, he went on and said the personality type is also perfect suited for going on a swashbuckling adventure. I think that's something I really resonated with thinking about this character in terms of building a game and gameplay around it. Well, who even knows what her personality type is? All we know is that she's a petty thief, and I guess she's daring. Like, that's her personality type. Well, what is that? That doesn't really tell us anything. So I do want to bring this up here real quick. The reason why they're name dropping Ghost of Tsushima is because it is a massively successful game, something that I don't think this game will be. If we go over here, this is a post that Sucker Punch Productions, the developer of Ghost of Tsushima, made back in 2022, over 2 years ago, where they announced that they had sold 9.73 million copies. That was on their 2-year anniversary. I think they probably sold a lot more than that, given the fact that they just released some big special edition on Steam. So it's now being expanded to a larger player base now outside of PlayStation consoles. And that's huge. It's huge, right? And so this is one of the reasons why they are name dropping this game. They're so desperate. They're like, oh, this game is like Ghost of Tsushima. Remember that? It sold 10 million copies, and it has like this amazing Metacritic score here. You can see 83 favorable from the critics, 91 from players, universal acclaim. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to associate Star Wars Outlaws to a much better game, because everything that guy's talking about, his previous comments indicate that it had nothing to do with Ghost of Tsushima. He was not referencing Ghost of Tsushima whatsoever with Star Wars Outlaws. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so this is all just like a marketing stunt to name drop Ghost of Tsushima in hopes that people will be like, oh, it's like Ghost of Tsushima. Let me check that out. I like Ghost of Tsushima. I'll play that. And then they find that's not what it is. And it's like, what was this guy talking about? But that's what they're trying to do. He's trying to attach his game, which doesn't look like it's going to do well, to a much more successful game in the hopes of people purchasing it based on that association. In fact, there was actually I don't have it on tap here, but I've covered this in a previous video. An investor actually asked Ubisoft, did his own calculations, and estimated that Star Wars Outlaws is likely only to sell around 5 million copies, something that this investor was not impressed by whatsoever. Again, that is almost half of what Ghost of Tsushima did in 2 years. So it's not looking good for Star Wars Outlaws. They are getting desperate, trying to name drop Ghost of Tsushima now in order to bolster their sales. I don't think it's going to work. I think gamers have wisened up to what Ubisoft is up to, and they are not going to buy this game. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.